Who knows what we're talking about tonight? Just out of curiosity. How did you guys know that?
Because it's right here.
Oh, we gotta hand those out early. Darn it. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Listen. Before we jump in tonight, I've got a question for you guys. Okay, are you ready? It means you gotta actually listen. Okay? I think you're gonna actually like this question. Okay? How many of you? Are you ready? No. Okay, good. All right, listen. How many of you would say, thinking about your family, okay? How many of you would say, by show of hands, don't shout out answers, just show me your hands. How many of you would say, thinking about your parents, gosh, if I was the parent, I may do things differently? How many of you would say that? Adults, think back to your childhood, and did you say that? Because I was there. Forrest, you never thought you'd do things differently? Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, so just about everybody. Not quite, but just about everybody. Awesome. So why would you guys do things differently? 5-second answer.
Because my parents make me mad a lot.
Okay, because your parents make you mad a lot. 5-second answer.
Because I don't like the rules that I have in my house.
Okay, you don't like the rules.
I like to play video games.
Because you like to play video games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my parents is very ignorant.
Okay. Sure. Because they're mean. Okay.
Because I don't like my dad.
Because you don't like your dad. Okay. Because nobody in your house goes to church. Okay. Taylor?
Because they put you down a lot.
Because they put you down a lot.
Or they
Okay. Sure. So many of us, listen. Did I call on you already?
I mean, I haven't.
No, one's enough for right now.
Oh,
Come on, you're going to distract me. Thank you. Listen, many of us, on some sort of degree, our homes would probably be classified, including my own home, as dysfunctional. Okay, now what does dysfunctional mean? Austin?
It doesn't work.
Hey, that's a good word for it. Yeah, it doesn't work. How so? Taylor?
You're not able to function correctly. You aren't necessarily what society sees as normal, and things aren't going well.
Things aren't going well? Okay, Holly?
Okay, dysfunctional family, just look at mine.
Let's see, I look in the dictionary. Oh, hey, look, there's a picture. That's odd. So, articulate that for me.
I don't know.
Okay.
They're just plain out stupid and they don't care whatever.
Whoa.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, but my
All right.
family is very dysfunctional, okay?
Listen, so here's some things. If you are in a dysfunctional home, here are some things that you may experience, okay? It may be things like, anger outbursts, right? Like I spill a little bit of milk, my wife comes up and says, "What is wrong with you?" That would be probably a dysfunctional home, right? She doesn't do that, by the way. Okay? She doesn't do that. Okay? People giving each other the cold shoulder when they get mad at each other. That might be a dysfunctional home. Okay, come on, pull it back in. This one might actually hit a little bit closer to home for some of you. Somebody in the family threatening to leave when things don't go well. Whether it's one of your parents, or you, or one of your siblings. That right there is probably a telltale sign of a dysfunctional home. Okay, these are all things, and all of us probably have some sort of dysfunction in our homes, whether it's a little bit of dysfunction or a lot of dysfunction. All of us have some sort of dysfunction in our homes. Okay, I highly doubt that. You know why? Because you raised your hand that you would do things differently if you were the parent. Okay? There's some sort of dysfunction in your home. But, there's something interesting. Did you guys get a choice in the home that you got put in?
No.
No? Did anybody get a choice in the home that you got a choice? You
A
are.
choice for what?
Okay, you got a choice? You are lucky too. Did you get to choose your parents?
No.
Yes.
Oh, wait, no, that's not happening. I don't want to go for that.
Okay. You got to choose your parents?
Like, what do you mean, like, choose before that?
No.
Well, really what I'm asking is, did you get to choose your family?
Yes.
You got to choose your family. So when you were rolling down the assembly line in God's kingdom and God was pulling parts off and assembling Holly Smith, he said, okay, Holly, here's the row of parents. Choose.
Dude, I love my mom and dad. I would trick them in for anything.
Well, that's fine, but did you get to choose them?
Wait, I love the guy in high school.
No. Listen.
Because we don't listen to this.
No, listen. We did not get to choose our parents.
Actually, I kind of did because I was almost aborted. And then.
You didn't get to choose.
Yeah, I did.
Listen, God created you. God chose your parents. You did not get to choose. You did not get to choose.
I'm going to argue with you.
Then argue with me later.
Okay, I will.
Okay. We did not get to choose our families. Yes. Do they? I did not get to choose my son. Oh, they can choose whether they have a child or not. Sometimes.
But there's a difference between that's a child that you choose.
Yes. Okay. But I mean, here's the thing. Okay, pull it in. Listen, whether we get to choose whether we have kids or not, which is only really kind of sort of a choice, we don't get to choose our family. Okay, I did not get to choose the personality that my son would come out with, or the things that he would have that we would have to learn how to overcome, like fused wrist bones. I didn't get any choice in that. That was God's thing. But I really don't want to talk about that part. Put your hands down of families tonight. Part of what I want to talk about is this. The way families are created are kind of interesting. Why? Think about your family for a minute. Don't raise your hands, just think about this, because I'm afraid what the answers would be. No, we're not there yet. Do you know how to push the buttons of your parents?
Yes.
Totally.
How about the buttons of your siblings?
Yes.
I said, don't answer. All right, listen. So this is kind of how families work, right? We get together and somebody goes, hey, look, it's Aunt Bertie over there. Watch this. Hey, Aunt Bertie, your eyes are huge. Right? And we start waiting and watching for them to kind of go, right? And it's kind of like sitting back and watching a fireworks show, right? Because you see the sparks start flying. But then what happens is the sparks start flying a little bit too close. And we start trying to back up a little bit, right? Because things start getting a little bit too close to home, right? But that's what families do, right? Really, the point of families is just to kind of annoy each other, push each other's buttons, right? Isn't that the point of families? No. What is? It's fun to do. That is your sinful nature talking, by the way. Just so you know. Let's look at this. Let's look at this for a minute. Okay? Let's look at how God actually created families to be. Okay? Listen, as we get into this, let me point something out. When we start looking at the commands God gave us, He didn't give us commands that are natural for us to do. Right? Like men. Men, let me ask you, boys, let me ask you a question. How many of you like to be all, like, talking about your emotions to other guys? Okay. Some of us do, right? But here's the thing. If you had a choice of playing, let's see, like Medal of Honor or Call of Duty, or sitting down and talking with your friend about
Call of Duty. Girls do that.
your feelings,
Call of Duty.
what would you choose to do?
Call of Duty.
Thank you very much. Most of us would probably choose Call of Duty, right? You watch this.
Yeah.
You know, that's guys.
Guys don't do that.
What's that?
Guys don't do that.
Guys don't do that?
If you come over on Saturday,
I'm just saying. I don't know about girls on that one. I'm a guy. You do? Awesome. Oh, I feel the love. All right. But let's look for a minute. Let's look for a minute at what God actually designed families to be. Okay, this is not up there yet, so don't turn it. Okay, in your Bibles, turn with me to Matthew chapter 22. 22. Matthew chapter 22. Okay? Matthew chapter 22. Okay. Find an actual Bible. Yes, good. Okay, thank you. Matthew chapter 22. Okay, let's see. Who can I pick on tonight? Okay, Holly.
I'll go. Wait, what? What is it?
I'll get you for the next one.
Wait, say it again.
Matthew 22.
What verse? Number 1?
Nope. Verses 27 through 29.
Okay,
27 last.
I have to find
This is like all bunched together.
Wait, Matthew what?
Matthew chapter 22. Let me make sure I wrote this down right. Verses 37
Oh, this is sad. I already know
to
it.
39. Good. What is it? Recite it for me.
Finally the woman died. No. Okay. Finally the woman died.
No.
Yeah, Matthew 22, 27.
Oh, I'm sorry. 22. Chapter 22, verse 37.
Oh, you said verse 27.
I'm sorry. Chapter 22, verse 37.
Through 39.
Through 39. Yes. Okay.
Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay. So God is talking in there about the two greatest commandments. What are they? What's one of them? First one. Okay, love the Lord with all your heart and all your soul and all your mind. Cody, what's the second one? Yes. So if I'm going to boil this down, these two commands into 4 words, here's what it is. Love God and love others. Okay? Love God, love others.
You said and in there.
Okay, 5 words. Love God and love others. Okay, the 2 greatest commands. Now let me ask you, when you're sitting at Thanksgiving dinner, you're going, watch this. You know, is that loving others?
No.
But, you know, a lot of us go, but wait a second, that's not meant for family. So let's see what the Bible actually says about family. This will be up on the screen, look it up. Ephesians chapter 6. Ephesians is the 7th book of the New Testament. So it's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and then Acts and Romans, Galatians, and Ephesians. Okay? Ephesians chapter 6.
I got it.
Okay? Here's what it says. I want to make sure that you guys don't skip parts, so I'm going to read it to you. Okay? Because this is really tough for kids to read. It was really tough for me. Hold on. Children. Let's stop there for a second. How many of you are children?
Not me.
Everybody's hand should go up. Do you know why? Because even if you are 18 or 70 or whatever your age is, okay, you're still a child. Somebody was your parents, which means you were somebody's child. I am 30 years old and I'm still my parents' child. Okay? So this command, guess what? Is for all of us, regardless of our age. Okay? Let's continue. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Let's stop there for a second. Is that conditional?
Yeah.
What is that? How do you mean it's conditional?
I don't know.
Okay. What does conditional mean? Conditional means if this, then this. Is this command conditional? This,
No.
or is it just absolute?
Absolute.
Right. You're supposed to do it no matter what. Right? Right. Okay, let's keep reading. So children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment, and underline this in your Bible, with a promise. We're going to see. The promise is this, that it may go well with you, and that you may enjoy long life on the earth.
Didn't we just learn about this on Sunday from
You did. Although he read out of Colossians 3. It's funny, it's kind of similar. It does. It actually comes out of Exodus from the 10 Commandments. Believe it or not.
Mr.
Okay.
Josh,
Yes.
I don't have that verse. I have the New King James version.
That's okay. The verse is still in there, and it says just about the same thing with a little bit different words. Okay? So let me ask you guys. It says, obey your parents. honor your father and your mother. Do you remember last week when we talked about Isaiah 43? And we talked about how God looks at us as precious and honored?
Yeah.
What did that mean? That we were what? That we were rare? Okay, so that's precious and honored. What did that mean? What does it mean when God honors us? Thank you very much. You took the exact words out of my mouth. You hold them to a high regard, to a high esteem. So if you honor your mom and your dad, that means you hold them to a higher regard. Let me ask you a question. Everybody close your eyes for a second. Because I want you to be honest with me for a second. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. How many of you would say you respect your parents? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Okay. A couple of people, one person shaking their hand sometimes. Okay, go ahead and put your hands down. Listen, respecting our parents is part of honoring them. Honor. Go ahead and look at me. You can open your eyes now.
Oh.
There's two different forms of the word honor. There's the noun, which means like, I have honor. Okay? So how would I define that? That would be things like, if somebody assaults my honor. So they say something about me that's not true. That's the noun. What this is, honor your father and mother, that's a verb. What does a verb mean? It's an action. So that means this requires action. If we're going to honor and obey our parents, what does that mean? It means we have ears that are ready to hear what they're telling us, but we put what they're telling us into action. What does that mean? It means if I'm sitting there and my mom comes up and tells me, Josh, go take the garbage out, and I go, and then 3 hours later she comes by with the garbage and takes it out, did I honor her?
No.
Did I obey her?
No.
Okay, what if she comes over to me and says, Josh, go take the garbage out, and I go, and then half hour later I get up and I go take it out. Did I honor her?
No.
Did I obey her?
Yes.
Yes, but I didn't honor her in the process, right? Because I was still being disrespectful to her. And so part of that means that we have ears to listen to our parents when they tell us to do something, we do it. And we do it without pushback. Okay? Now let me back up a second, because I know somebody's going to come up and say, but Mr. Josh, what if my mom and dad tell me to go do drugs? Or Mr. Josh, what if my mom and dad tell me to go rob a store? Okay, listen. As a parent, I can tell you this. I have never known a parent who has told their kids to go do drugs. Now, let me back up and say, put your hand down. Put your hand down. I have known parents who maybe do those things. But most of the time what they're doing is they are giving you an example, but with their mouths they're telling you, don't follow in my footsteps. Because they really know that it's not the road that you should be going down. Yes?
Well, things like that is not like that. Well, he does things like that, and then he put around and told me not to do that.
To not do that. Right. Why? Because he wants what's good for you, and he knows that those things are really wrong. He's making the bad choice, but he's telling you to make a better choice. That's part of dysfunction. Okay? Yes?
Okay, so given the off, idea that someone actually did tell you to do something bad with your parents,
Then it's not going to happen. You show me a real life example, not a hypothetical, where it's happened, and we'll talk about it. Because I'm telling you, I have never met a parent where that's happened.
I've heard people talk about being operative by their mom or dad. And then in my trailer park, some people smoke pot with their kids.
Yeah.
But there's a difference. Right? Hold on, there is, right? Because if I'm sitting there doing something, and I look at my kid and I go, do you want some? That's a choice. Right? I'm not saying it's right. And I'm not saying it's right. But there's a difference between looking at my son and saying, go shoot up. Okay? I'm serious. There's a huge difference between giving opportunity and giving command. Right? Like, I'll look at my son, we'll be at the toy store, I'll say, okay, Caleb, check the back car. Okay, which one of these three would you like? That's opportunity. But I don't look at him and say, you're going to pick out a car, you're going to go take a time out.
I've never met a kid who started up a toy.
Thank you very much.
So,
Okay?
wait,
But Do you see what I'm saying? There's a difference between opportunity and command. And what this is saying is command. Obey your mother and your father. Okay? Now, your mother and your father may be dysfunctional. Okay? Your house may be dysfunctional. And so how do you balance that? Well, ultimately, it comes back to this. Okay? What does this say? This gives us a very clear picture of what's right and what's wrong. And if mom and dad say, you should go do this, and it's contrary to this, I would recommend that you don't do this, but you can still honor your mother and your father without disobeying what's here. Why? Because you can either be disrespectful or not. Right? And that can oftentimes be the line between honor and dishonor. Yes?
I had an aunt who was raped by like one of our family members.
Okay.
And her mother, my grandmother, told her not to tell anyone.
Okay.
So, isn't that bad?
Yeah, I would think so. There's, these kind of things, it gets into really tough things to deal with, right? Why? Because our families are broken. We live in a very broken world. That's the best way to describe how we live. Okay? And so, what can I say? Do I always know what the right answer is? No. But I'll tell you what, there's somebody who does, and it's God. And how do we know what the right answer is? We dig into His Word. Right? And so in every situation, can I say, boy, this is what God would tell me to do? Not always. What do? I look at this and I see, gosh, what does God tell us to do? Right? But what I see here is that we are to honor and to obey our parents. Right? How does that balance? It's a case-by-case thing. It's a case-by-case thing. That's the best I can tell you. And instead of spending a lot of time now talking about all the different hypotheticals that could be there, if you have something real that you want to talk about, bring it up in your small group. And let's hash out these things, because that's what our small groups are for. Okay? But listen, here's the thing. When it comes to honoring our mom and dad, it's very, very tough sometimes. Why? Because our mom and dads aren't perfect. The next verse down, which I didn't put up there, is this. It says, fathers, do not exasperate your children. Sorry, I say it the way my son does. Do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in training and instruction of the Lord. Now, if your dad isn't doing that, does that mean you don't honor and obey him? No, those are independent commands. They're not dependent on each other. In Colossians, it tells husbands to love their wives, wives to respect their husbands, children to obey their parents. Does it matter if the one party isn't doing it? Absolutely not. It's independent commands. Okay? So how do we go about this? Philippians 4:13. Who knows Philippians 4:13? Oh, come on, we did it in VBS a couple years ago. What is it?
For I can do all things. Oh, crud, no.
You got it. You got it. Come on, finish it. I can do all things through
Christ who gives me strength.
Thank you
How
very
you
much.
ruined it?
I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Listen, the background to that verse, what most people don't read, is Paul, when he said that, he was talking to people about trials, and he was saying, look, I have been rich, I have been poor, I have been in prison, I have been stoned, I have been shipwrecked. He's been through all of these things, and he says, but I can endure all these things because I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. If God can give Paul strength to deal with that kind of stuff, do you think maybe he can give you strength to honor and obey your parents?
Yeah.
Seems like kind of small potatoes to me compared, right?
It's like a golden key.
Right. Kind of. Yes, sir.
One of the things the pastor said this weekend that just seems to ring into this conversation is that, and actually I think it was Mr. Whitehead that said it, that when you have a situation where somebody isn't doing what you think they should be, so to honor them, and then you're gonna be when you meet the Lord, you're gonna be measured by what you've done, and they're gonna be measured by what they've done. But you still need to honor them because that's what God wants you to do.
Right. before God in judgment, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to be here, and there's going to be God. Guess who's going to be to my right and my left? Who?
You guys are extremely well.
It's me, buddy. I'm accountable to God. And so when he says, why did you get mad that one time? I'm not going to have any points to say, but it was his fault. It's my choice. It's my choice. 1 John 5:3. This is love for God, to obey his command. What were the two greatest commandments? What were they? Everybody. What was the first one?
Love your neighbor and the love of God.
Love God. And the second one was?
The love of
Love others. Okay. How is the first way we love God? You gotta have a relationship with him. Right? You gotta have a relationship with him. Which means that other people can't obey his command unless they have a relationship with him as well. And that's part of, for those of you that went on the winter retreat, listen, that's part of why we went to the mall and we said, hey, do you know if you died tonight, what would happen? Do you know there's a God who loves you? Because not everybody knows that. So what we're going to do, we're going to pray really quick. Yes, it's not even 7:30 yet. All right, we're going to pray really quick, and then we're going to break up into our small groups. And here's what I want you to do. Hash through this stuff in your small group. Okay? So if there are specific things like what you were bringing up, Savannah, that you need to talk through, bring it up in your small group. Let's iron through these things. Okay? That's what small groups are for. Yes, ma'am. Real quick, 5 seconds.
Well, there was something that was at the mall, and they didn't know God, and we were talking about it on the way home. And I asked the salesman, well, I said to the salesman that if you like, so many people know God, or no. What? You know what he said?
Hold on. What'd you say, Miss Allison? Absolutely.